I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to say hello to everybody. I hope you guys are doing well today. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Today on drboycetv.com, we're going to talk about single parents, particularly single mothers, and I'm going to explain to you why single mothers have the lowest net worth in the country. And again, it's not to disparage single mothers. My mother was a single mother, but I think that there are some economic and social issues that should be discussed in terms of what economic culture looks like and how we can get where we want to get to. So let me know if you can hear me. Give me a quick yes if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Shout out the city you're from. And we're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to say good morning to everybody. Shout out the city that you're from, and I want to say what's up to everybody on Instagram. How you guys doing? It's so good to see you. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. I had a big, gigantic Instagram with like 500,000 people on it, and then Instagram just shut me down. So maybe that means I need to start running my mouth so much, but it's okay. We got millions of followers on other platforms, so it's totally okay. If you want to find me on the gram, just go to Dr. Boyce Finance. Also, I am on Spotify and Apple. I'm on about 50 platforms. So if you go to Spotify and Apple, look up Boyce Watkins, you'll find my podcast there. I have 2 podcasts. One is called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown, and the other one is How to Make Money Without Working. So I want to say good morning to Michael Bias and Phases of Us, Chris Goodjoin from South Carolina, Alicia Chan out of Philly. Y'all know I like that name, Alicia. David Kirby from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Good to see you. I love you too, man. Thank you so much for saying that, brother. Mo Greed out of Montclair, New Jersey. I see DK out of Detroit and Santiago. Is that right? The answer's in the title. They're single. Ooh, okay. Santiago came in with guns blazing. Let's see here. Faces of Us, Travis Rogers, Darren Crawford, John Thompson. So good to see everybody. Hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up real quick, everybody. Thumbs up, share, subscribe, everything else. All right, so let's hop into the conversation for today. All right, so one thing I want to talk about was something that was on my mind today, and I wrote about it in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, which is out there on Amazon or drboycebooks.com. And basically in this book, I talk a lot about culture. And there is a lot of conversation about economic culture that I don't really know if we understand or we learn in school. We don't understand that one of the most important things about money and economics is that how many business school classes you've taken doesn't really matter as much as the culture you come from. For example, when I was 22 years old, that was when I taught my first college level finance class. I was good. I was the #1 finance student on the entire campus of the University of Kentucky. I won the Wall Street Journal Outstanding Graduating Senior Award. I knew a lot about finance. I probably forgotten more about finance than most people will learn in 3 lifetimes. I kid you not. I've been doing this for a minute. And let me tell you this, though, despite the fact that I had all this education in economics, despite the fact that I'd taken all these classes, I wasn't applying a lot of what I learned because it wasn't in my culture. I didn't own a lot of stock in my 20s because people in my family did not own stock. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. I didn't try to start businesses because people in my family didn't start businesses. I didn't own real estate in my 20s because a lot of people don't in my family don't own a lot of real estate. A lot of people are renters and borrowers and things like that. So effectively, culture overrides training. Culture can override your training. Culture, your subconscious mind, which is which your culture affects. Your culture affects your subconscious mind. Any good therapist will tell you that your subconscious mind overrides the conscious mind. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. I hope I'm not talking over anybody's head when I talk about the subconscious mind, because it's extremely important for us to understand this. My wife's an expert on the subconscious mind. That's why she helped me come up with the idea of creating the first ever Black financial therapy department, because we're literally giving people financial therapy, because you'd be stunned by how much financial trauma, financial anxiety, etc., affects your economics in your community. This is something nobody else is really talking about. Everybody's talking about how to get money, but nobody's talking about how to get healing. You go to an investment event and they talk all day about making money, but the question is, are we talking also about healing our souls, healing our spirits, healing our families, healing ourselves physically and mentally? That's extremely important, right? So here's where I want to jump into this, and this is what led me to do this conversation today. Sometimes God just drops an idea in my brain from the ether. I share it immediately because I don't want to forget that idea. So I was thinking about this, and again, I wrote about some of this in my book. Single mothers. Let's talk about single mothers, right? Because that's an interesting topic. It's a controversial topic. People have different opinions, right? There are people. I married a woman who was technically a single mother, and I had some guys that didn't understand that. They said, "Well, why would you do that? That's crazy," and that's okay. I get it. People have their different opinions. You have a right to have an opinion, but I have a right to have mine. And I'm a grown ass man, and I'm gonna do what works for me. I'm not following the crowd. I'm not a follower. I'm a leader. That's what leaders do. Leaders just do what they're going to do. They don't sort of sit around and wait for somebody to tell them that it's okay to do it. I met my wife. I loved her. I thought she was gorgeous. I love the kids. It is an honor to raise these Black children. It is an honor to be in this household, and I'll never, ever walk away from that. So that's the first position I want to start with. And I want to give a shout out to every parent out here who is doing right by their kids. If you got kids, raise your hand, say something in the chat. Give me a yes if you got kids. I want to just make that clear so that nobody interprets or misinterprets this discussion as some sort of a bash fest of single parents, because I don't think single parents need to be bashed. They should be supported, and that's what it is. All right. But also, I want you to support yourself. And that's why sometimes the conversations, if they're going to be honest, will take us in a direction that may make us feel a little bit weird, right? May sort of challenge our thinking a little bit, right? So let me know if it's okay if I challenge your thinking. If I challenge your thinking without you getting mad, that's the goal. Okay. All right. So here's what I want to explain to you guys. First off, I've looked at a lot of data, a lot of research. You know, when I was teaching at Syracuse University, all we did was look at data all day and research all day. And one of the things that gives you insights, so for example, like how people get rich, that's not a mystery to me. We know exactly what people do to get rich. Why Black people have less wealth than white people, that's not a mystery. I've seen all the data. We know exactly what that is, right? And one of the things that I remember noticing is that single mothers have the worst or lowest net worth of any group of people in America. If you look at the median net worth of a single mother, particularly a single Black mother with children, her net worth is way down here. Single white women are much higher, like probably 100 times higher. But even they're low relative to families, right? So understanding this is part of understanding the wealth equation and what wealth kind of looks like and what that means for you. Now, here's the thing. This is not a blanket endorsement for marriage. This is not me saying you're doing it wrong. It's me saying that there are some simple reasons why this wealth disparity exists, and then there's deeper reasons why. The simple reason that single parents, particularly single mothers with children, have a lower net worth than everybody else is largely because raising kids, I believe, is a two-parent, sometimes three-person job. If anybody's got kids, you understand. Like we're to raise our kids and keep up with them damn rugrats. We need the mama, the daddy, the auntie, the grandma. We need help from everybody. We get on the phone with grandma and we're like, can you talk to this little sucker in here that won't listen to nothing? She ain't doing what she's supposed to, right? So it does take a village to raise a child. In fact, I did write a book called It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. You don't have to buy it. You can have it free. If you text the word stock to 31996, I'll send you an e-copy of the book. But anyway, so it takes a village, right? So that's part of it, right? If you are focused on being a parent, it's hard to multitask. It's hard to focus on being a parent and being a big time earner at the same time. It's hard to, go out and make $1 million and still spend all the time, put $1 million worth of effort into raising these kids. Because when you're raising kids, you're talking about $1 million worth of game. You're talking about $1 million worth of time. You're talking about the fact that it takes, there's 8,760 hours in a year. That means that a decade of raising children takes away 87,600 hours of your time. You double that to a 20-year period, let's say, then you're getting approximately, or you back it down to 18, you're talking about approximately 180,000 hours. Did I do that? No, I did that math totally wrong. About 150,000 hours. So think about this: 150,000 hours of your time is pretty much dedicated to getting those kids to the age of 18 without them dying or something, right? Which is really important. When I talk to my girls and we talk about being a mom, I say actually being a mom is the most important job in our society. Unfortunately, because our society is crumbling and America is not what it used to be. America's going it's getting worse every year. We don't value that. We don't support moms the way we should. We don't do the things we're supposed to do. We don't incentivize the development of strong, solid families, which is critical for developing solid communities. So effectively, America's going to struggle. But I let her know. I said, look, if moms stop doing their jobs tomorrow, we would have a whole nation full of serial killers. Give me a yes if you understand. If you take away the love and the nurturing and the attention that mothers give babies, those babies grow up and they pick up AK-47s and they shoot up the school, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so effectively, we know how important that job is, right? So you're doing this really important, difficult job. You're kind of doing it by yourself. That's really hard. When are you going to find time to go out here and then also learn how to go make money? Seriously, I mean, it's hard. It's really freaking hard. I mean, seriously, look, I've made money. I was pretty good at making money. I got a whole PhD in money. All we did was study money all day long, right? And so I got good at making money. But that took a lot of time and energy. It took a lot. I had to read 1,000 books. I had to, go to a million seminars. I had to talk to a million people. I had to do a lot of stuff in order to learn how to make money. And I can tell you, if I was spending that same amount of time trying to raise a bunch of kids while I'm figuring out how to make money, it would have been much more difficult. Not to say it's impossible, but it would have been much, much harder, right? And so the strength of the partnership, the reason I'm so honored to be married to this awesome black woman is because we just brought our superpowers together and we became super friends. We became super friends. Remember those super friends they get together, be like shape of an octopus, form of a thunderstorm, and they would get together and they form this like team and they would just go kick everybody's ass. That's kind of what we sort of did. I said, look, I've spent the last X number of years getting good at this skill. You spent the last X number of years getting good at that skill. Let's get together and let's trade skills. Let's help each other so that we can really develop this empire that we're trying to create and help each other be successful. That is a conscious decision. It is also a conscious process that requires a lot of intentionality in terms of what it takes to develop, to visualize. First, you got to visualize the empire. Then you must develop and design the empire. Then you must execute on the building of the empire. And then you got to maintain and protect the empire. Do you understand? And so what does this mean? This means it takes lots of healing, lots of growth. I had to grow. I had to grow to be a man, to be a husband. I couldn't be being a single man and being a husband are two different things. Those are two different realities for me. I had to grow. It requires a lot of learning. I had to learn. Okay, what do you do when you wake up on a Saturday morning and your wife's yelling at you for no reason and you don't know how to respond? I had to read books about that. I had to go talk to people. You have to learn. Kids, how do you connect? How do you figure out a way to connect with a 13-year-old boy who's mad at you because you're not his daddy and he doesn't want to talk to you? How do you work your way into his space and have influence on him without doing what your daddy did? Where my daddy would just came in there and strung me up, right? You can't do that to kids, right? So what do? How do you handle it? Well, that requires growth. That requires also other forms of emotional intelligence that had to be developed, like humility. Like how do you, if you're Dr. Boyce Watkins and you go all around the world and people are really nice to you and kiss your butt because they respect you, how do you go into a space where the kids don't care who you are? The kids ain't got no respect. Y'all know how kids are. Kids don't care, but they don't respect nothing. They think everything we do is corny, right? So how do you deal with that when you come home and then your wife is yelling because the garbage ain't got took out yet or whatever, right? Like how do emotional intelligence, right? Balance, patience, relaxing, chilling out, not letting your ego get out of control, right? So all these skills are required to be able to preserve the empire. You understand? And so what I would say to you is that if that's your goal, right? If some of y'all are already doing it, right? So if you're already doing it, then I think you should keep teaching other people because there are a lot of our people that don't know how to do it. But those of you that are figuring out how to do it, or you're looking at the world and you're seeing a lot of people who can't do it, who don't want to do it, who don't want to learn how to do it, I would encourage you to pay attention to that and learn the skills required for you to build the kind of empire that you're seeking to build. Because every single study I've ever seen pretty much shows that families have an easier time getting resources than single people, individual people. There's no point in all of human history or in no society you can name where a bunch of single parents and a broken families were able to accumulate wealth and power. Give me a yes if you understand. There's no example. There is no example out there. There's none. Right. So ultimately, you're gonna have to figure out what your hustle is gonna look like and how you're gonna get there. And it's gonna require you to probably grow. And it's definitely gonna require you to heal. And if you want to know the number one problem in the Black community, in my opinion, the number one economic problem for the Black community is trauma. Trauma is the number one economic problem for the Black community. It ain't just white people. White people just add to your trauma, but it's really your trauma. It's unhealed trauma. That's the number one problem. The number one economic, health, physical problem, mental health, all that, relationship problem, all of that, it's unhealed trauma. So if you want to get better, I would encourage you to go research what trauma is, what it does to your body, what it does to your mind, what it does to your relationships. And then I want you to come back to me and say, oh my God, I can't believe what I just read, because you will be blown away. I have an advantage on that because my wife is a trauma certified specialist. Like, she specializes in it. So when we're running and she's telling me stuff, I'm hearing all this stuff and I'm learning a lot of this stuff. So I know that if I'm learning it for the first time in my 40s and 50s, I'm sure I'm sure there's a lot of 28-year-olds, 35-year-olds who don't know any of these things. So get ahead of me, be better than me, learn it now. Don't wait. Don't make mistakes first and then learn it. Learn it now. And that, I promise you, when you understand trauma, you will understand Black people. I kid you not. Anybody in here have experience studying this stuff? Anybody let me know if you some of y'all already know a lot of stuff. I talked to a sister named Santrice last night, who's a nurse practitioner and a psychology. She studies psychology and criminal justice, and we were talking all day about just the whole time about trauma. And so some of y'all already know it, but really, I'm not kidding you. If you understand trauma, you'll understand a big segment of the Black community. You'll watch BET and be like, now I understand why that pregnant lady with 85 tattoos is twerking and smoking a cigarette at the same time. Oh, that's just trauma. That's just her trauma. That's the trauma boogeyman coming out. It's everywhere. So trauma is like a psychological STD that has affected millions of people, and it doesn't get checked or diagnosed, and then we infect each other, and then next thing you know, next thing you know, the pregnant lady with 85 tattoos is twerking, right? Like, really, or the Black man shot his girlfriend because she took the Doritos and wouldn't let him play his Xbox and whatever, right? Or all this stuff, right? So anyway, let me before I move on, could you do me a favor? Please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you have not done this yet. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And like I said, I have the on Spotify. If you look up my name or if you look up my other podcast, How to Make Money Without Working, it's all right there. Also, if you'd like to get a copy of my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, I have workbooks and flashcards to go with it. My wife's books are there as well. Feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. And we even have financial flashcards we develop for kids. We have a lot of tools in the Black Business School where we're really committed to this Black wealth thing. We've been doing this. We've reached over probably 500 million views of videos so far. And so thank you guys for riding with us. Our goal is to focus on our community and our community only. That's what we do. All right. So anyway, do me a favor. So as we move on, let me mention this other thing too. In terms of single mothers, we're talking about single mothers having the lowest net worth in America. Why this happens? Simple dynamics. It's very difficult to do a two-person job as one person. So your economic numbers tend to be lower because you don't have that ability to have what they call specialization of skill, right? Where one person says, I'll bring home the bacon. The other person says, okay, I'll cook it when you bring it back. You don't have that. You have one person that's bringing home the bacon and cooking it and managing the kids and dealing with whatever and managing their relationship with some dude that maybe comes by once every 2 weeks or whatever, right? It's life. It is what it is. But here's the other thing that's interesting to me that I thought about this today that it really made me think a little bit. Generational curses are pretty huge in our community, right? Generational curses are just not even generational curses. Maybe you just say traditions, right? And I started thinking about this. I said, if I grew up, pay attention now, think about this. 76% of all Black children did not grow up with their father living in the house. 76% of all Black children did not have their father in the house, like waking them up every morning, walking them to the bus stop. None of that, right? And a lot of this, I think, this is integration. I think integration was one of the worst things that happened to Black people because, 80, 90 years ago, Black people got married, stay married, all this other stuff. Now, people just think marriage is bad and stupid. Well, I don't know what people think. But anyway, so 76% of all Black children don't have their father in the house. Now, I want you to really think about this in terms of what you're used to and how you would process relationships as you get older. And I'm gonna do this with an example of saying, what if it were the reverse? What if instead of 76% of Black children growing up without their father in the house, what if 76% of all Black children grew up without their mother in the house? So 76% of the kids, three-fourths of them, only have their dad raising them. They have no experience of a woman being in the house, what women want, how women think, dealing with women, having women that just like I don't know, even little stuff, little basic stuff you don't even think about. It's gonna sound weird, but I remember even noticing with my mother how the anybody else knows how the bathroom smells a little different. When mama been in there, I don't even get gross with y'all, but you know what I'm talking. Even look, oh, okay, but then you learn about little things like the menstrual cycle. Like okay, what is that thing in the garbage can? Oh, mama is whatever, right? You learn these little things about women because mama's right there in the house, right? And so the girls are learning how to be successful from their mothers because their mother's right there like a drill sergeant, drilling them and coaching them and showing them womanhood, right? So they're getting kind of this structured training on how to be successful, particularly educationally and economically. Maybe not so much in terms of relationships, right? Because maybe mama's trauma affects how she even talks about men. Like, don't be spending time with them boys. You focus on your books. You focus on your schoolwork. Don't be worried about them boys, right? Right? Because maybe mama had her own tough experience with men. So these girls grow up and they become these super soldiers. They get to about 27, 28. They're kicking ass, taking names, starting businesses, getting master's degrees, all that. That's the experience. That's what I see when I look at the Black woman, right? The boys, not so much, right? The boys struggle a little bit because the boys didn't get that drill sergeant mentorship, consistent every day, 24 hours a day mentorship from their father. Most of these stupid things in my life that I did not do did not occur because my father was right over me saying that would be stupid. Why would you do that? Right? Or I could call him and say, "Hey, Daddy, I was thinking about doing blah blah blah. Don't do that. That's stupid." Right? So having that father there, it does make a difference. I talked to a woman the other day who told me about her ex-husband. Who tell me if you know a guy like this. She had an ex-husband who was a pathological liar, who married her and did not even who made up a whole story about how he served in the military. He did not. He said that he had these businesses. He did not. He said that he'd done all these things in his life. He had not done any of these things. And after she has a baby with him, she finds out a year later, after doing some investigation, that his whole life was pretty much fabricated. Right. And then let me know if you know somebody like this. And so she gets on the phone with this guy's mother who raised him, as a single mom. And she's pretty much like, well, he's trying to do better. It's not his fault, right? Anybody ever seen that? Like where the mama kind of is covering for the son and the son is a complete piece of shit. Like, you know what I'm talking? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Right. And so it takes a village to create a sociopath, right? So it's not just him, it's the mama, it's sort of a collective effort. So Black women can't say that you have nothing to do with how these Black men turn out because you're playing a big part in raising these boys, right? And so that boy that you throw out into the dating market is not a boy that you would want as your husband, but you're making him somebody else's husband because he's not a grown man. He's a bearded baby. I call them bearded babies. These are grown men who are over the age of 30 who have never learned to take responsibility for anything or anyone, not even themselves. Like, give me a yes if you know a bearded baby. They've never gone through any sort of transition into manhood where that requires them to take responsibility for their behavior or for the outcomes of anyone else. So this woman that had this baby with this man, he's not paying child support, and every time he doesn't pay his child support, she talks to the mama, and the mama says, well, he's trying, he's doing his best, right? But he's 38 years old, and nobody ever taught him that as a father, you don't just do your best, you do what is required, right? If your best is not what is required, then you keep on doing better than your best. You keep pushing to the point where the level that defines what is your best grows. You force yourself to grow. right? So you become, unfortunately, if you don't get that training, you become what they call a need to grow. Need to grow means you need to be in situations where you're forced to grow. So this is what we see, right? Let's just be honest, right? This is not everybody. This is not the whole black community, but y'all know people like that, and it gets reinforced in media. It gets reinforced, through hip hop culture, where a bunch of dysfunctional, screwed up black men, they give them $1 million and put them on TV. They start rapping about money, drugs, and hoes and everything else. And other men look at this and they say, "Oh, that I admire this behavior. This is what a man does," when that's not manhood at all. But that's kind of what they market to you, because that's how they want your men to think. They want your men to be sloppy, irresponsible, unproductive human beings that are not taken seriously by society. And then you have the Democratic Party come along and say, "Well, it's okay because black on black crime doesn't exist, and also these men, you're babies anyway. Like you're minorities, you're weak, you don't have any agency in your own lives. So just make sure you vote for Joe Biden, and everything's gonna be okay, right?" That's what you kind of get in America, in my opinion. Now again, let's go back to that experiment earlier when I was speaking to you guys about what if you had most black children raised in a household where they did not have their mother instead of not having their father. Well, let's do that experiment really quick. This is something we used to do in statistics. We would change one variable and see what would the outcome look like if you shifted one variable. So let's shift out. Let's pull the mama out of the house. The mama, now let's say the mama's still around. The mama's like down the street or across town, for half the kids. Half the kids know where their mama lives, but they don't talk to her except maybe once every 2 weeks, right? But then let's say you live in a world where people still tell you, well, that's the same as having a mother in the house. That's okay. A mother, as long as she talks to her kids once a month or picks them up on the weekends, it's the same as being a mother that's in the house. I think that's crazy, but that's what they say about fatherhood. They'll say, "Oh, it's okay. If the dad lives across town and if he's calling the kids, every 2 or 3 days, and that's the same as having a father in the house." That was not my experience. That's not my belief. So then also, let's say that these kids are being raised by their fathers, and let's say that their fathers are men who have gone through relationship experiences where they wanted the mother to stay, but the mother left. Let's say the mothers all left because of, different reasons, drugs. Maybe they wanted to go chase some extra men. Maybe they wanted to just go live their best life. And for whatever reason, the father's kind of a little bit annoyed because he wishes that he had help with cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids and everything else around the house, but he has no help. So the child is growing up with just the father. It's just me and daddy, right? I'm a boy. All I'm seeing is daddy's perspective, daddy's way of doing things. Daddy's always in charge. What's going to happen? Well, if I lived with my dad and my mother was not there, let me tell you what our house would have looked like. It would have basically been a pigsty. Number one, we would have pizza boxes and dirty drawers everywhere. Because guys, this is what my brother and I lived together. That's what our house looked like when we lived together. And what else would happen? Maybe his perspective on women would be my dominant perspective as well, because there's no woman there to balance it out. So if my father was a womanizer who says, "Yeah, you want to have sex with as many women as you can. Women are good for 1, 2, or 3 things, but they get on your nerves or whatever." And then also we have this environment that's not built for a woman at all. It's only built for men. And every night we eat pizza and we watch football and we kind of just do guy stuff all the time. There's no feminine energy at all in that space. Process this now with me. I hope y'all with me. Let me know. Give me a guess if you're following this, because I know it's taking me a second to lay this picture out, but I want to frame it for you so you can imagine this, right? So then I go out into the world and then suddenly I'm dating women, right? And I'm meeting women, and you like women, right? We're born, most of us, most men like women, most women want a man, right? So I want a woman, right? If you say, "Do you want a woman, Boyce?" Yeah, of course I want a woman, right? But my whole perspective on women and what they're good for has been thrown off balance because I just grew up in a house, basically in a frat house with my daddy. Do you understand? So effectively, you can see how certain bastardizations of my thinking can occur in terms of how I view women and how I react to women, right? Maybe I become a womanizer and I say, "Yeah, women are great for sex. Yeah, just get you, 2, 3 girlfriends and just do it with them, whatever." If I decide to marry a woman, so let's say I marry a woman and we create a home together. Now it's not all masculine energy. Now I'm not living in the frat house no more. I'm not living with just me and my daddy and my brothers or whatever. It's me and this woman, and she's bringing feminine energy into the house and feminine perspectives. And I'm just going to tell you, if you don't know this already, you probably do. Women are very different from men. The way what my wife wants for our house is very different from what I want for the house. My wife came in one day and was like, "Boyce, we need new floors." I'm like, "Why do we need new floors? Our floors are fine." "Boyce, these floors are terrible. We got to get new floors." "Why?" I'm like, nobody has ever come into our house and told us, "I hate your floors." Why are we going to spend all this money on new floors? Right? So that's a conflict. That requires some compromise. If you want to know the compromise, we got new floors because I'm not going to argue with a woman over floors. But honestly, don't tell my wife I said this, but to this day, I still don't understand why I had all these people up in my house uprooting the floor and giving us a new floor. The new floor is kind of nice. Like, you put your socks on, you slide a little bit like Tom Cruise and when he was singing "Take That Old Record Off the Shelf," right? Or stuff like that. Risky Business. That was a movie, right? So it's kind of cool, but it wasn't worth the thousands of dollars we spent to make it happen. But that's what she wanted, because women do tend to do stuff like that. Not to generalize or stereotype. I hope I'm not sounding that way. But that's kind of, or she'll wake up on a Saturday morning and say, "Oh my God, we've got to clean this house. Boyce, you got to get up and clean this house." I'm like, "Why?" I want to lay in the bed and watch college football. "Boyce, we gotta clean the house. We gotta clean it." All right. Okay. Right. So process this, right? Imagine if I had grown up in an environment where I never had a mother to deal with. I had no reference to this. I've never seen this before. Now, I understood that energy that, how y'all ladies do sometimes when y'all really got, like, you feel like cleaning the house by 1 o'clock is like a life or death situation. Like, it's Saturday morning and everyone must clean. I never understood that, but guess what? I adjusted because I remember my mother doing the same thing when I was a kid. She used to do the exact same thing. So I was like, okay, she's doing what mama used to do. But what if I had no reference to that? What if I grew up in a frat house where cleaning was something that we only did once a year, and I did not understand it? Well, I'm gonna react differently. I might say, yeah, I tried to get married, but she be wanting to clean all the time, and I can't be cleaning twice a week. Like, what's this lady talking about? This is crazy, right? So I would say, well, I got a divorce, but it's not my fault because my wife, these women are crazy. They're terrible because they want to clean up the house all the time. The reason I'm coming to that conclusion is because I never grew up with a woman in the house. So here's where I'm getting to. This is the conclusion to this framing I just laid out for you. I would be willing to bet you that the part of the reason that some women get divorced quickly or get rid of men quickly is maybe because you grew up in a household where you didn't have to deal with masculinity on a daily basis. I don't know. Again, every relationship's different, so I'm not defining your relationship. So please don't take it personal. And if you don't agree, then it's okay to not agree. I just hope you'll let me know if you can at least hear what I'm saying here. I would be willing to bet you that a lot of I hear women. I'll hear women talk to them, or I'll talk to women and I'll say, well, why did you end the relationship? "Oh my God, let me tell you what he was doing. He was he was doing this, and then I find out though that I'll be listening. I'll be thinking, a lot of guys actually do that. If you go out and get a new man, the new man's gonna do those things, but the difference is he ain't gonna care about you like your husband. Like, if you get sick and go to the hospital, he's not gonna come visit you. Your husband will though, because that's his job if he's a decent man anyway. But the new guy, all the new stuff that you chasing at the age of 40, that don't most just seriously, I'm serious. Like, if you ask most black women in their 40s what it's like to be single on the dating scene, what are they going to say? Are they going to say, "Oh my God, it's so wonderful. There's so many amazing options, so many high quality men that just are ready to commit. I just have a new proposal from a new man every single week." Is that what they're going to say? Is that what they're going to say? Or are they going to say something different? Are they going to say, "Oh my God, it's a nightmare. Let me tell you," because I'm gonna tell you, again, maybe my experience is biased, but when I talk to my friends over the age of 40 that are dating, the women seem to be having a tough time. They don't feel that the options are super high quality, and I'm sorry that that's happening for you if you're in that category. But I don't really know if if so the question I would end up asking is, if you were 32 years old and you had a man that liked you and cared about you and was doing his best for you, and you're trying to work on building that empire, how much energy did you put into your own healing and your own growth that would have allowed you to make that thing work? Because I can just tell you, I was single all through a big chunk of my 40s. There was no shortage of opportunities. There was no shortage because statistically speaking, there is a disproportionate number of eligible black women relative to the numbers of black men. And at every stage of life, the imbalance actually grew. There was an imbalance, a little bit of an imbalance when I got to college because college, the women outnumber the men, X to one or whatever that number is. Then graduate school, the air started getting even thinner. I would go to a conference for black PhDs. I would be the only single man within a 100-mile radius, and the other guy would be like some fat dude, some fat nerdy dude. So I had no competition. Then I became a professor. I would go hang out with black female professors. There would not be other single men anywhere around, right? And that was in my 30s. And then I got to my 40s, it became even more dramatic, right? And so my point on this is to say that I would argue that if you go back to that original premise, that original point that I was making about the net worth of a single black parent, particularly single black woman, being the lowest in the country, and you want to partially solve that problem, some way, somehow, you want to find a way to get some help, or at least one way to solve it is to get some help. Getting help might come in the form of having that partner in your life. But here's the thing: if you were raised in a household where you never saw the person running the household have to negotiate with another partner, having to compromise with another partner, having to work with another partner, it's probably gonna be hard for you to do the same thing. If I grew up watching my mama just make unilateral decisions and have nobody get in her way and just talk smack about anybody who tried, well, then maybe I'm going to carry that same attitude. And I can just tell you for sure that for some men that's not going to work. That's not going to fly. I know it wouldn't fly with me because when I married my wife, I expected to have a significant say in the way this household was going to run. So if you told me, and the truth is, my wife had a father, but he didn't live in the house with her. And there have been times where I've said, no, we're gonna talk about this. We're not. This is not. So if you're trying to create a household that is different from the household that you grew up in, just know that that's like me trying to. If I'm trying to create a household that's built on Chinese culture, I'm gonna have to go study Chinese culture. I can't guess and say, oh, well, I know what we can do. We can play Bruce Lee movies and have some Chinese food in the house, and that'll be the same as Chinese culture. There's a difference between emulating a culture that you've actually seen versus creating a culture where you built the emulation in your imagination. And that's what people do. They build imaginary marriages. They build imaginary families in their head because they never took the time to study what does a functional family look like. How many people have you talked to who've been married 30, 40 years who can tell you what that's like? How many people have you sort of been around and discussed this with to say, how do you function in a household where there is a man and a woman and everybody's healthy and healed and helping each other? What does that look like? If you never saw it on a daily basis, it's going to be hard to create that. So did you study that, or did you come up with a sort of a construct maybe built on media, which is bullshit, of what you think a household's supposed to look like? So when you're designing a play with different characters and you wrote the script for every character, and when one of the characters does not follow the lines that you wrote for him, then you say, well, he got to go. He got to go because a man shouldn't do this. Hey, man. And then you got your little single friends sitting around, can't keep a man themselves, telling you, oh, girl, oh yeah, he really got to go. Well, did you actually have any men that you talked to about what happened where they can give you another perspective? Did you have a father in the house? They could tell you that, yeah, sometimes men do this. Sometimes men act like this. Did you grow up in a house where you saw your mother deal with certain things and have to look past certain things with your father in order to keep the household together? Because I know I did. I sure as hell did. I saw my father and my mother look beyond significant character flaws with each other. Significant. I'm not talking about just with him or just with her. I'm talking about the fact that my parents were able to stay married for 50 years because they did something a lot of people cannot and will not do, especially in a world where everybody is full of ego. You know what they did? They learned how to unconditionally accept one another. And if you've ever tried to do that with another person, that's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. They created the closest thing I have ever seen in my life to unconditional love. Unconditional love can be messy. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And so when I got married to my wife, I told her, I said, look, I don't know what your plan is for this marriage. I don't know what your construct is for what a marriage is supposed to look like. People are different. I said, but my construct is that you, my wife, I'm supposed to love you and your dirty draws and your mistakes and in your highs and your lows and choices that you make. I really, even to the point where I never said it, but honestly, like, if somebody said, well, if your wife cheated on you, would you dump her? I'd be like, I have to think about that. I'd have to process that. I'd have to, I don't know. It depends. And that's not popular to say. It's not. No, very few people are going to say, I get it. Most people are going to say, oh, no, hell no, you a simp. You a pick me. They make up all these stupid names. All these stupid people make up these stupid names to make fun of people who are really trying to figure it out. So if I'm going to leave you with anything, at the very least, I'm going to beg you, don't listen to the dummies on the internet. People with terrible relationships who hate themselves, who have egos to the ceiling, who will just say things, who talk a lot of smack and ain't really doing nothing. And they'll sit here and give you advice like they know what the hell they talking about. They don't know what they talking about because they ain't never been through nothing. So that's what I believe. And I hope that this discussion it benefits you on some level. I know that you're not going to agree with everything I said, and that's okay. I just hope you will hear what I said. If you're talking about, here's the thing, in this country, I'm going to be a financial scientist for a minute. Americans are struggling financially. Single Americans are getting body slammed financially. Single Americans, under age 35, it's kind of done for a lot of you. It's just kind of done, honestly. It's a new economy. The prices of everything is here and your incomes are here. It's hard. If you follow the path to economic success that they give you, you're going to be stressed out, struggling, drowning, like getting your butt kicked left and right. Seriously, I'm not here to tell you to follow the rules. I'm here to tell you to rewrite the damn thing. That's what I'm telling you. I mean, think about this. You go to school, they say, sit down, shut up, make good grades so that you can go to college and get a good job. Then you go to college, you go $100,000 in debt, a debt you can never repay, which then effectively makes you a corporate slave. So then you become a corporate slave, hoping that by being a good corporate slave, you'll make enough money to pay off the debt, but you can't because the cost of everything is going up. The cost of rent's going up. The cost of food's going up. Your student loans are hanging over your head and your wage. But the only thing not going up is your wages. So effectively, you've got a size 14 shoe and you got a size 5 foot and you're trying to find a way to fill up that damn shoe. The only way you can fill up that shoe is if somebody else puts their foot in it with you. If you got 2-3 feet in that shoe, then you can fill the size 14 shoe. But if you have a size 5 shoe and you're trying to stretch to a size 6, but you're wearing a size 5 foot and you stretch to a size 6 and you're trying to fit a size 14 shoe, you will never succeed. It won't work. It won't work. So one of the great economic hacks that doesn't get discussed enough is learning how to manage your relationships so you can find somebody that you can get along well enough with where y'all can stay up in that goddamn house and pay them bills together, where y'all can raise them crazy ass kids together. Do you understand? I think about maintaining my relationship with my wife the same way I think about maintaining my relationships with my most important business partners. Do you understand? If I got a partner that I'm working with and we're making money together and we're succeeding, I'm not going to go talk crazy to that person. I'm not going to disrespect that person. I'm not going to let my ego cause me to mess up a good thing. I'm not going to listen to my boys. Oh, man, that's disrespectful. How you going to let him talk to you like? No, no. I'm putting my ego to the side because I'm looking at the big picture. I'm not going to play checkers with my wife. I'm going to play chess. So when me and my wife have a touchy situation or a potential brewing conflict, I try to tap into enough emotional intelligence to say, okay, how do I navigate this so that I can see the big picture? Because in 5 years, I won't remember what we were arguing about. But in 5 years, I will remember if I got a divorce and lost half of my shit. Do you understand? Emotional intelligence, people. Emotional intelligence is the cousin to healing. Healing requires emotional intelligence. There is no commitment to emotional intelligence. The only thing I see is a commitment to extreme emotional insecurity and immaturity in our community. That's what I see. You see it everywhere. You see it all over the internet. People going off on each other, acting a fool, cutting people off, disrespecting one another, being harmful toward each other. That's not energy that leads to success. That's energy that leads to not just chaos, but extreme poverty, suffering, lots of suffering. People that are alone in the world, that are stranded, they suffer a lot. And then you see the suffering come out in their attitude toward other people. These are the meanest, nastiest people out here. They're mean and nasty because they can't figure it out. It's hard. Life is hard. They wake up sad. So don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Again, another dimension of emotional intelligence is the ability to see somebody who behaves that way and to know it ain't got nothing to do with you. They stabbing you over a bag of corn chips, but it ain't got nothing to do with the corn chips. So don't be trying to explain, I bought you a bag last week. You shouldn't even be mad at me. Don't even try it. Just understand, like, I forgive you for you know not what you do. You've been affected by the psychological STD in the Black community called trauma. And I forgive you. I'm going to go and try to just heal from the fact that you just stabbed me in my stomach. And I'm not coming to your house for dinner next week. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. We have a social media platform, by the way, at b1nation.us. So if you want to go join us and hang out with like-minded people, just go to nation.us, not .com, it's .us. We're getting away from Facebook and Instagram and all that because, I lost those 500,000 followers on Instagram. So it's like, I'm not going to try to go rebuild. I have an Instagram over there, Dr. Boyce Finance, if you want to follow me, but I'm not going to rebuild on Instagram. We'll build somewhere else, but it's okay though. Don't worry about us. We did lose the Instagram, but we're on, like I said, I'm on 50 platforms. We got millions of followers on different spaces. I don't even tell everybody all the platforms we have because that's, that's just something we've always done. All right. So anyway, b1nation.us. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m., we are doing a stock options income event. It's Prime 101, Dr. Boyce Prime 101.com. I'll put the URL on the screen. If you'd like to join us, feel free. We're going to talk about stock options, selling stock options to generate income. Everybody loves the Prime program, by the way. So many people love it. If you know anybody that's in it, or if you're in the chat and you're in it, just say something. But if you know anybody that's in it, just ask them. It's focused around using, the training I have in finance to show you ways to generate income quickly from stock options. So literally tomorrow, if you hang out with us tomorrow, it's 90 minutes long. When you walk out of there, you will have some strategy you can apply that can make you money that week, like right away. Like this, and I'm not kidding. I'm not over promising. As long as you have a little bit of investment capital, a little bit of money to invest, I'm going to show you exactly where you can put it and generate, increase your income tomorrow. So feel free, if you'd like to join us, just go to drboyceprime101.com. The training's $129. But everything is yours for life. The slides, all the material is yours for life. So feel free to go to drboyceprime101.com, or you can also text the word stock to 31996. Some of you are already on the list. If you're not, text the word stock to 31996, and I'll send you a link where you can join us tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. All right, because as you guys know, in the Black Business School, we don't just talk about trauma healing as a pathway to wealth creation through family. We also talk about the X's and O's of finance. We know all these things. This is easy for us. We can do this in our sleep. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate your kind words. I see Zena, Andrea, and everybody else. I will see you guys soon, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope this conversation was helpful to you. Talk to you later. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.